biggest one impacted 57,000 customers, almost 600 of which are on the medical baseline program at PG&E, which means they do rely on power to service a medical device. The events lasted between 13 and 92 hours. And as we talked about, customers that rely on medical devices are very vulnerable to these outages. Next slide. PG and MCE are both doing similar programs to what we're proposing tonight. And we've given a comparison here. They're actually both pretty similar to each other as well. MCE was allocated $300,000 with a goal of targeting 100 customers. PG&E has allocated $5 million across their entire territory, with the expectation of being able to serve 500 customers across PG&E, 50 in San Mateo. They're both looking at one particular technology, which is the Goal Zero Yeti 3000, which could provide 3 kilowatt hours of backup power. MCE will be providing an equipment loan to customers. So they'll be providing batteries to customers for a short-term basis, either event-based or for the like PSPS season. And PG&E is looking at a couple of options. They're looking at short-term leases, long-term leases, and then also lease-to-own options. The lease-to-own is not going to be available in San Mateo. It's more targeted towards rural counties. And they're both partnering with the California Foundation for Independent Living Centers. And that's an organization that we've been working with as well. We've been working with the San Mateo branch of that organization. All right, next slide, please. So overall, what we're looking to do is leverage our relationship in between our community, some of our community partners, backup vendors, and our customers, providing these portable storage devices to our medically vulnerable customers that are most likely to experience PSPS events. By aggregating the procurement of these devices, we can get some discounts from that bulk purchase. Providing these storage devices to customers either free or at a very low cost. And doing some vetting of technology providers ahead of time for our customers to make sure the products that we're identifying meet the needs of those customers. All right, next. The program priorities are to target those customers that are most vulnerable, keep costs low for those customers, prioritize clean power solutions so that we're either not choosing diesel generators or we're using the diesel generators much less than they would without these backup options. We're also doing some research on which medical devices can be powered by batteries over an approximately 3-day power outage based on what we saw last year. And then ensuring that batteries are used safely throughout the distribution, storage, and operation of this program. Next, please. We've reached out to 8 different vendors with an informal request for information. 5 of them responded to us. And those 5 are called Simplify Power, FreeWire, Portable Electric, Goal Zero, which is the organization that PG&E and MCE have chosen to work with, Humless, K2, Kohler, and Generac. So the ones here with the stars are the ones that responded to us. The program structure is that we will purchase batteries and then provide them to our customers, targeting medical baseline customers that can be served with 1 or 2 batteries. So that's where we get into certain devices are going to be better suited for this program than others. And we're recommending that we're doing some additional diligence with a couple of different organizations. So with Goal Zero, Simplify, and Humless. They provide different battery sizes, and some of those sizes might be better suited for different types of medical devices. So we might want to move forward with more than 1 battery solution for this program. Next slide. Some of the things that we're looking at as we finalize which vendors to work with are the battery capacity. So what kinds of devices can be served with these types of batteries. Which devices might need uninterruptible power supply, whether that's available from the battery vendor. The amount of time it'll take to recharge the battery between PSPS events. The cost of the battery and the portability of the battery, making sure the battery is small enough to move into customer homes. Next slide. This is our high-level timeline. We started coordinating with our community outreach partners in April, and that'll be ongoing through June. In May, we've been doing our outreach to our battery vendors through that RFI process, and we're currently in the RFI evaluation and diligence. And we're coming to you guys today to recommend and request that you approve allocating $500,000 to move forward with one of these vendors. We felt like it was important to come to you today and not wait until June, because we'd like to get the request in to a battery vendor so that we can get battery delivery on a timeline that meets our PSPS needs. Under the current timeline, we expect to get battery delivery between July and September. And so we didn't want to push that out any further and miss when our customers really need batteries to meet the PSPS events. Next slide, please. So the recommendation here is that we approve the expenditure of $500,000 for these battery backup systems. And based on that budget, there's a couple of different solutions we could look at. We have 4 vendors that we've shortlisted. If we went with only the Goal Zero from Yeti, we could procure over 200 batteries for our customers. If we went with the larger Yeti, we could procure 133. And then if we went the even larger size batteries, which are more expensive, we'd procure fewer batteries. And I think what might be the best solution is a combination of those. And we're doing a little bit of research still on what type of battery power we need for different medical devices and what our customer composition looks like. What medical devices are our customers using? That's the last slide. So I'll stop there and ask if you guys have any questions.
Thank you, Siobhan. Harvey has his hand up. Go ahead, Harvey.
The existing PG&E program, that's only for PG&E customers, or if you're a PCE customer, you're not eligible? Is that how it works?
If you're a PCE customer, you would be eligible because all of our customers are also customers of PG&E.
Okay, thank you. That's interesting.
Our program would expand on that. I think PG&E is looking to target about 50 in San Mateo County. And so we would be able to expand on what they're doing to provide this type of backup to even more customers.
And the lease program that PG&E currently offers, do you have any idea how expensive that would be to the PG&E customer?
We don't, and this is a new program for PG&E also. They just started launching it in May as well. And when we've had some conversations with PG&E and MCE, they're both very early stage in the planning process, and they hadn't worked out some of those details yet. So we're going to continue working closely with both of those organizations and others if they put in place similar programs to share lessons and brainstorming around how do we set up these programs in the way that works best for our customers.
So it would make sense to coordinate carefully with them, right?
Yep, exactly. And I think since we're all using the same organization to coordinate with, the California Foundation for Independent Living Centers, that'll also help because we'll be able to create similar programs across different territories.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Harvey. Laura, you're up.
Thank you. Just a question with regards to how this program would be executed. I'm just wondering, the expectation will be set among these customers, and I think the intent of this is good, so please don't get me wrong, that, if they were to adopt this particular program, that they will have, continuity of electricity through a power shutdown. If for some reason the battery doesn't work or there's a problem, has the staff thought about redundancy and or any liability issues, especially given the fact that these folks are reliant on medical equipment? Thank you.
Yeah, no, those are excellent questions and the types of questions that we've been working on exploring with the battery vendors. So one clarification, the customers they would still lose power, but they would have a portable battery that they could plug their medical device into. So that's why we need to be careful about how we size it and how we choose which batteries to provide under this program. Certain medical devices that don't use a lot of electricity could be fine with the Goal Zero Yeti 3000, which is the cheapest option. but other devices that are much more energy intensive would need a larger battery that would be more expensive. But to the second question about if there are any issues, that's one of the questions that we're exploring with the battery vendors, trying to understand how these batteries have behaved in the past, and understanding whether or not there should be some sort of redundancy. We haven't determined the answer to that yet.
And where would the liability lay if there was an issue? Has that been understood?
We have not particular contractual plans around the liability, but I wouldn't expect it to be with PG&E. I'm sorry, with PCE.
Thank you.
Actually, just to quickly follow up on that, Siobhan, can you give me what's an example of an energy intensive medical device that like the largest battery would be designed to support?
I would have to double check. I'm not sure. I can't say off the top of my head. Yeah.
Yeah, I can think of a lot of low ones. I'm just trying to think of what something big would be, but okay, we can talk about it later.
One example we've thought about is, if you have medication that requires refrigeration,
right?
The largest battery would then have to be able to power your refrigerator.
That's a good one. Okay, all right, thanks. Rick Bonilla, go ahead.
Thank you. So I'm very interested in this, and I think I would support putting $500,000 towards this. What I recognize is that there are a lot of variables. And I think that also if you look at the math, in the case that you showed, there were 57,000 people without power. 590 of them could benefit from having a portable battery. So that's just a little over 1%. So my questions are things like, in recent PSPS events, how many people have been in San Mateo County without power, and for how long? Do we have any data like that? Do we know? I mean,
the data that we showed in the first slide, those were San Mateo County specific numbers.
Okay. So that was a 57,000 household outage.
Yep, exactly. The largest one was.
Okay. Can we expect larger ones possibly?
Mm-hmm. PG&E, I think, got a lot of pressure last year to avoid PSPS events of a similar size for this year. So I would expect them to be less intense this year, but it's so dependent on what the weather looks like, how dry and windy it is in the fall. It's hard to say.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you.
Pradeep, go ahead.
Yeah, Shivan, this is a great program. I just wanted to check with you on one detail. In the staff report, I read that these potential customers would otherwise be purchasing a diesel generator backup for their medical device. So my understanding is that all these cases would be either diesel or battery backup. And if that is the case, should we look at the differential of costs between the diesel generator backup versus our battery backup and focus on that as a subsidy from PCE, or the total cost?
Yeah, we've talked about a couple of different options. We've talked about covering total cost, particularly for customers that fall into low income brackets and might not be able to afford battery backup or even a diesel backup. And then for other customers, perhaps subsidizing the cost that could maybe afford other options. That's one of the things that we're still working on with some of our community partners to understand what's the best way for us to deploy these batteries in a way that's fast and would be available for customers by the time we expect to start seeing the PSPS events for this fall.
That's great, thank you.
And I think also, if we go with a lease or loan program for this year, we would have these batteries for future years, and we could potentially change the structure of the program in future years, depending on what we learn in this first year.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board for Siobhan? Rick Bonilla, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to go a little bit farther into the idea of the diesel. It's not really a battery, it's a generator, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, so the generator, I guess that's kind of a competition point there, because who knows how long these outages last, sometimes longer. than the few hours that the battery might be able to provide power for. And that's a different competition point, because some people might opt to have something that, as long as they have diesel, it's going to run. And I know that's contrary to our goal. So this is a difficult thing to compete with there. Just wanted to bring that up. Thanks.
Yeah, I think one other point I would make is that this program, we're looking at particularly customers that live in apartments and wouldn't be able to install, like, for example, solar plus storage. And I imagine those same people wouldn't be able to have access to a diesel generator either, unless it's owned by the apartment complex. Whereas a battery like this, something that could sit, you know, in your apartment with you.
Right. That's a good thing.
Okay. Is there any public comment on this item? Oh, Drew, go ahead.
Yes, Mark Roos.
Oh, Mark? Okay. Mark, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. First of all, is this thing, what's the capacity? What are the capacities that you're looking at that you're aware of so far, or would you like some support from the outside for identifying those capacities?
The capacity of the batteries?
Yeah, how many hours, you know, have you identified kilowatt hours that you're looking at as the choices you're interested in?
Yeah, I think on the slide that we were just showing, there's a range of kilowatt hours that we're looking at. The smallest one is 3 kilowatt hours up to, I think, 10.8 is the largest.
Yeah, that's what they're offering. But I'm wondering, like, would you be more interested in a 5 and a 10, or a 5 and an 8, or a 4 and an 8? What do you have any do you have any awareness of what's optimal yet, regardless of what the battery makers offer?
Yeah, I think the optimal is going to depend on the type of medical device. And the California Foundation for Independent Living Centers has done some research on the battery capacity needed for different medical devices, and we're working with them to get access to that research.
Okay, so you're finding that out. On the portability, okay, so they're all portable, all uninterruptible. What, are they all supposed to be delivered to one place, or are they supposed to be drop shipped to the ultimate customer users, or what's the trip there?
Yeah, some of those logistics are things that we're still working out with the battery vendors.
Okay. So the reason I'm so answer the questions is that I know somebody who can substantially undercut the price even of Goal Zero Yeti, and we can design 2 different sizes. We have identified an optimal size for in terms of convenience, in terms of equipment design, but that's easily renderable. We can render that one way or another. But I would definitely like to be able to get him into the loop. I know that he's tested 4,000 batteries.
Yeah, Mark, we're looking for things we can deploy this year, but certainly send his information to me and include him in our process. He
already has designed the kits. It's a matter of modifying a kit that's already designed, and the batteries are available.
Okay, great.
Thanks, Mark. Yep. Okay, Drew's got his hand up. Go ahead, Drew.
Yes, so first off, I think some clarity around medical baseline, what that includes or doesn't include in the context of, I had a friend who was potentially going to live with me, and he had a sleep apnea machine, and when I called PG&E, that was going to change our rate and different things. I don't know if that automatically counts as a baseline, and the reason I bring that up is if he didn't use it for a few days because of power outage, he'd be fine. And so I just clarity, the baseline is like it's life level. It's not inconvenience level. So that's just a definition thing, I'm assuming. And then, I guess as a customer, I kind of feel like the equipment potentially comes back at some point, and something about ownership and a little bit around how that all functions. And I know you got to figure out how to do it and stuff. So because technology will change, people use it for other things potentially, and some of that's totally fine. It's not trying to micromanage it. But when I see a comment on a bullet, hey, this will help people not to buy a generator or something, well, I am already looking to buy a dual fuel inverter generator because of just being able to do backup and stuff. So you know, I could use a battery like a Yeti. My friend bought a Yeti and stuff. So it's like, you know, I'm going to impact the environment, and I'm not a medical baseline, so I'm not trying to argue that, but the environmental impact is similar. And so I just, a little bit when the environmental stuff comes up, I think there's other customers that overlays with, but not arguing against the medical baseline twist of this and the need, some of that kind of stuff. So thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Drew. Anne's got her hand up. Go ahead, Anne.
Thank you. I had my hand up because I wanted to put into the official record that we did receive public comments via email, which I consolidated and sent out to the board and posted on the website. I would like to mention that Robert Whitehair of San Mateo specifically supports item 9, which is what we're discussing now, and Diane Bailey of Menlo Spark, also very detailed support for this item. Jennifer, do I need to read their statements, or is the email to the board and the posting on the website sufficient?
If you can summarize their statements, I don't know how long they are or if they would fit into the 2 minutes that are allocated for public comment.
Okay, let me pull these over. Okay, let's see. For Robert Whitehair, strong support, underscore the dire need to immediately address the climate crisis. Let's see. We, over the past year, we have actively supported REACH codes to prevent the use of fossil fuels in new construction. And we are actively working with developers of multifamily properties to phase out natural gas equipment. The urgency of addressing fossil gas use in existing buildings. Oh, I'm sorry, this is, sorry, it's merged. These first two supported items 9 and 10. It's basically environmental, looking at Diane. Let's see, electrification. Oh, for the batteries, medically vulnerable. We just want to support those residents who will be impacted by public safety power shutoffs during the upcoming wildfire season. So sorry, these first two were mixed with item 9 and item 10, but they both very strongly speak in favor of supporting this item for use of batteries for medically vulnerable customers.
Thank you, Anne.
Okay. Carlos.
Yes, I just don't know if I have enough information to understand how useful these batteries are given, and I think someone has already mentioned it, but given the loads that will be placed on it, and if it really is emergency related for life safety stuff. I mean, I would actually love to see examples of what we're talking about in terms of what is the rated capacity, and you know, what is the duration of the battery, what's the life of the battery, you know, once you're discharging it. So and I just don't think right now I have enough information given what's been reported. Now maybe that can get figured out later, but I just want to make sure that if we're doing this, and if we're only doing it to 56 families or however many, 59, I really want to understand that it's going to be beneficial, and I guess I just don't feel that I have that information right now.
Yeah, that's fair. I think we've been working to get that information from a couple of different sources, both from PG&E and from the California Foundation for Independent Living Centers. But we haven't been able to get all of that yet. And we discussed in detail whether we should bring this to the board today or wait another month and bring it in June when it was more likely we have that information. Our concern was that if we waited until June, that would push back the delivery of the batteries another month, and some of them wouldn't be delivered until September or even later. And so we decided that it was more important to bring it to you guys today without all of the details worked out, but with the plan to get approval to place the order, to buy the batteries, and then come back and report to you in June on what the further details are. But we didn't want to wait because we thought we might miss getting the batteries in time to serve customers during the PSPS outages if we waited.
And if I could jump in there, this is Jan. Sorry, I put the video back on. If there are a couple of board members that would like to form a subcommittee that we could consult with, and you all would, kind of weigh in so that we can get this done more quickly, that's fine too. We just were concerned about waiting and, first of all, possibly having inventory sold out and not being able to get anything, and then also missing the fire season and the potential PSPS events. So that's why we came to you with a not quite fully, partially baked cake.
Okay. Thank you, Jan. So we have, the action we would be taking would be approving the expenditure, and we could modify that to include basically a subcommittee of board members. I would be happy to be part of that subcommittee to sort of help finalize an order soon. I mean, I guess I support the idea of moving forward just because I'd like to see these things go out in time for fire season, understanding kind of the fact that we're flying a little blind here. Laura, go ahead.
Yes, I would also be in favor of putting together a subcommittee on this so that the team can move more quickly. I have some experience. My professional experience has all been on the healthcare manufacturing side. I've worked in medical devices, and I would be happy to support the conversation as a subcommittee member.
Thank you. Elizabeth Lewis, go ahead.
Hello there. Hi. Thank you for allowing me to comment on this. And I appreciate all of y'all hard work in doing this wonderful work for San Mateo County. Regarding this issue before us about funding $500,000 to promote the battery backup for medical equipment, I totally support that we need the resources to provide electricity for our residents who are on CPAP machines or other electronically monitored things. All the talk about feeling that we need to do this right now in an urgency before the fire season, I find a little disconnect, because I don't think that San Mateo County is at a huge fire risk. And I do support the other members' comments in trying to form an ad hoc subcommittee to further research it before we make a vote to spend the $500,000 right now to provide for this. I don't think that it's not necessary ultimately. I just think that we should research it more. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thanks.
If there are no other comments, then we are being asked to, I would entertain a motion on this. Someone is willing to make one.
Making a motion to approve the staff recommendation, $500,000.
Second.
Seconds.
Do we want to amend it to include a subcommittee to sort of oversee that?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll second that. Deirdre.
Okay. Moved Bonilla, seconded Martin. Any further discussion? Okay. If not, then Ann, roll call vote, please.
Okay. Okay, if you would please announce yay or nay, yes or no, when I announce your name. Dave Pine.
Yes.
Carol Groom. Carol, did we lose Carol?
I lost Carol.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Rick DeGolia.
She's there. She waved her.
Oh,
Sorry.
she's waving.
Sorry.
There. Okay, I've got you, Carol. Thank you.
Didn't see you, Carol. Sorry.
It's okay. Okay. Rick DeGolia.
Yes.
Julia Mates.
Yes.
Madison Davis. Donna Colson.
Yes.
Don Goodwin.
Yes.
Roderick Das Magwal.
Yes.
Carlos Romero.
Yes.
Catherine Monpour.
Yes.
Harvey Rarbach.
Yes.
Lawrence May.
Yes.
Catherine Carlton. Wayne Lee.
Yes.
Deidre Martin.
Yes.
Jeff Alfs.
Yes.
Giselle Hale. Okay, I think we lost Giselle. Marty Medina.
Yes.
Laura Palmer Lohan.
Yes.
Rick Bonilla.
Yes.
Flor Nicholas.
Yes.
Daniel Yost.
And with the tie-breaking vote, a yes. All right, not the tie-breaking vote.
The motion passes unanimously.
Okay. Thank you. That brings us to item 10. The
Jeff, could I just get clarification? So who would the board subcommittee be composed of?
I would be happy to be on that subcommittee. I believe Laura was agreeing to join. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, that's who I have.
Jeff and Laura. Okay.
Does anyone else, I mean, if anyone else is interested, I'd be happy to have others just let us know now, or you can let us know later.
Yeah, we'll just want you to be able to move quickly so that once we get it figured out, we can take action.
You can let me know when it's going to be, and I would be happy to see if I'm free.
That's Rick Bonilla.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rick.
Yeah. I sit in the same corner of the house for 14 hours a day, so you'll know where to find me.
Yeah, I'm staring at the same wall all the time.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you all. We will move on to item 10, which is approving the building electrification program.
Thank you all board members being cognizant of the time. I'm going to move very quickly through this presentation. Shana, if you advance the slides, please. Shana. All right, I'm going to just start talking.
Would you like, Raphael?
Advance the slide to the first
Can you guys
slide.
see it?
Yeah, next. Next.
Okay. Next. Can you guys see it?
Yeah,
Yes,
so
we can see
title
it.
slide next.
It's just saying existing buildings.
Yeah, please go to the next slide, Shana.
Okay, something's happening. Sorry.
Okay, I'm just going to start talking while the slides catch up. So the request here that I'm bringing to you is to request board approval for an existing building electrification program. This is proposed as a 4-year, $6.1 million program. This is an extension, of course, of the existing work that we're already doing on new construction. The slides, when they catch up here, provide some background on the emissions inventory, with most of you have seen. Oh, I see the slides are catching up here. First, the overall emissions of the county have natural gas providing 20% of the emissions from the county. That is measured at the meter. We do know that with leakage, that's maybe as much as twice that amount. So emissions, greenhouse gas emissions from natural gas, maybe upwards of close to 40% of our emissions, which is one of the reasons why we're moving to target that now. This pie chart that you see now on slide 90 is a little complicated, but very quickly, the inner ring shows the sectors where natural gas appliances are in use. You'll note that the residential sector is 66%, small commercial 30%, with large commercial being 4%. Next, please. And then the outer ring shows the specific applications. So residential space heating at 33%, residential water heating at 27%, and on through the other segments and end uses. So residential is the largest segment by far, and the focus of our attention within this program is in the residential water heater, which is the second largest, but most market ready. Next, please. So this is the principal focus of our attention is in this end use of residential water heaters within the residential segment. Next, please. Quickly, the underlying rationale for the program, obviously, to meet our carbon neutral goal by 2045. There are some programs out there, they're quite limited, and the market is in the extreme early stages at this point. We also see an opportunity with this program to support the low-income community as well, and I'll speak to that in a moment. Next. So our goals here are to create initial market momentum to help establish the market. We want to leverage the existing programs where they are available, start to build the workforce readiness around doing this kind of work, and support or hopefully even create jobs through the course of the home retrofits that would come through this program. Next. So the overall outline of the proposed program here is just under 50% of the funds would be applied to incentives for appliances and service panel upgrades, which are required for the installation of water heaters and potentially some other applications. Then there would be a low income track, which would be deeper home electrification and energy upgrades, and this is building on the existing low-income home program that we've been piloting through the Community Pilots Program, working with Build It Green and El Concilio, where we know that there are a lot of homes that need attention. I'll talk more about that in a moment. And then there are some other components in the overall program, which would include load shaping, innovation pilots, electrification potential study, and administrative cost and workforce development. Next. What I'm going to go through now are the three major components that we see as the first components that would come under this program. The first being the heat pump water heater program for existing homes. Here we would be looking at doing replacements of water heaters with incentives in the range of $1,000 to $1,500, with a potential adder of up to $1,500 for service panel upgrades. These numbers are still going to undergo refinement, so these are approximations at this point. There is already that the board approved a contractor training component that we will already be working on, and we will be working in coordination with marketing that we are developing here that is also working in conjunction with a statewide effort by the Building Decarbonization Coalition. Our target is up to 1,200 water heaters over the 4-year period. And this program would be aligned with the approach that Silicon Valley Clean Energy is taking by layering incentives on the existing home efficiency and electrification program operated under the Bay Area-wide regional energy program. Next. Just a couple comparatives. So there are a couple such programs that are already in operation. The best known being SMUD, which has sizable incentives not only for water heaters, but other electrification measures. And they have energy advisors, single point of contact where folks can call to find out about these upgrades and find contractors and so forth. So the program structure here parallels that. Silicon Valley Clean Energy has been piloting a program now with the support of Air Quality Management District funding. Some of the details are here, but they are planning to move to the same model that we're talking about here, which is operating with the BayREN program. So in other words, somebody calls the BayREN program, it's a single point of contact for doing both energy efficiency and these electrification measures. Next. The second major track, as I mentioned, a low-income program. Here, as I noted, this would be an expansion of the existing low-income healthy homes pilot that we've been working on with Build It Green and El Concilio. One of the things that we've learned through that program is there are many low-income residents who own their own home, but may have difficulty maintaining those homes and are in some cases at risk at red tagging. What this program does is it both provides energy-related upgrades, but also applies some funding for other non-energy measures, which may be critical for home maintenance. And that could include things like dealing with mold, roofing repairs, and other matters on that order. This would be a turnkey program that would leverage not only funding from PCE, which we are proposing at up to $8,000 per home, but also other funding sources and assist homeowners in coordinating across all of these funding sources. So that includes the Energy Savings Assistance Program, minor home repair, and so on. And the concept here is that 100% of the installed cost would be covered for all the work being done in these homes, probably on the order of 200 to 250 homes. We would run an RFP to identify the provider for this program. Next. And this third component is an innovation component that would fall under the third track that I mentioned at the beginning. Candidly, I'm extremely excited about this. This is a technology from a company called Harvest Thermal, which is developing and is already piloting technology that provides both water and space heating with a single storage tank of water. And the benefits include lower overall cost for getting space and water heating relative to electrification of both of those uses separately. And secondly, enabling load shifting, so the timing of energy use of both the water heating and the space heating is aligned with renewables. This firm has already secured a National Science Foundation grant, California Energy Commission Emerging Technology grant through the EPIC program. This would be an opportunity to pilot in San Mateo, assess the technology, and if successful, then potentially roll it into our incentive program as an option for homeowners who wish to make these upgrades. We would also have an independent measurement and verification firm to assess the performance of the technology. Next slide. Here's a detailed breakout of the program. Again, as you'll note, just under 50% of the funding would be applied to the incentives associated with sort of standard upgrade of primarily water heaters and panels, but there might be some other measures that might fall into that over time. Then the low income track at a third of the budget, and then the remaining funds for the other elements of the program. Next slide. So here again for your consideration is the request to approve this as a 4-year program, and naturally the contracts associated with this program, if approved, would come back to you for any contracts over $100,000. And that would include both the heat pump water heater and the Harvest Thermal pilots that I mentioned, and the turnkey program after the RFP is run and awarded. And that concludes the presentation.
Okay, thanks, Raphael. Any board questions for Raphael? Rick Bonilla, go ahead.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you. Raphael, could you let us know how this works with our policy number 10 in terms of developing workforce and providing workforce for these projects?
Absolutely. Thank you, Director Bonilla. So as some board members may recall, prior to this, the board approved a contractor as an extension of the REACH code work. We had identified the need for more technical assistance for designers and contractor training. That contractor training is the program there is under development. And one of our key objectives is to work with IBEW to identify contractors and get them trained. Currently, there's an extremely limited pool of experienced contractors in this space for heat pump water heaters. And in the Bay Rent program generally, there are in fact no contractors in San Mateo County at all. So that's one of our key targets, is to work with labor to enroll contractors, train them and enroll them into the Bay Rent program so they can become active in doing the heat pump water heater upgrades. And then secondly, particularly for the turnkey program, we see that as an optimal opportunity to have them manage the installations on the low-income electrification measures. And we would also be looking to do that with the Harvest Thermal innovation pilot.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Other board questions for Raphael? Okay, Elizabeth Lewis has her hand up. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Maybe unmute, sorry.
There I go. Not so good. I just wonder how this program would work for investor-owned, like duplex situations in the Menlo Park area, where one unit has been totally upgraded and the other unit not so much, that needs knob and tube wiring upgraded, attic fans, heat pump for the hot water heater, things like that. It's a serviceable unit, but dated and needs some environmental upgrades.
Sure. So the heat pump water heaters will be residential heat pump water heaters, not commercial scale. So
no, small, yes.
But 50-gallon, 80-gallon style water heaters that would be appropriate for
like a 2-bedroom home.
Yes, absolutely. And even larger single family duplexes, triplexes would be appropriate. In addition, the fact that we're bringing this in within the Bay Rent program and supporting panel upgrades means that those incentives then become available to do other work. So if somebody needs energy efficiency work or they're bundling a number of things, then they would access, in effect, through one phone call or one source, all of the incentives that are available through that program.
Thank you. And so just BenRen, right?
BayRen, that's right. The Bay Regional Energy Networks. I know it's a bit of a mouthful.
And just connect with them and they'll come out and do an assessment and help you out.
That's correct.
Thank you, Raphael.
Okay, thank you. We had Tom Cabot wanted to make a public comment, but couldn't, he's on the phone. Tom, go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much, Chair Alves and board members. And thank you, staff, for bringing this proposal forward. I'm very supportive of these efforts and responsiveness of staff of looking at starting the heavy lifting of all this building electrification and these next steps into it with innovative programs that you're demonstrating, and also participating in kind of leveraged efforts with other ongoing programs like BayRen. So I think these are great things to start doing, and a great way to start deploying part of the reserves that have been building up And now is such an excellent time to be deploying them when they're so needed in the community to be jump-starting economic activity. So I'm very appreciative of that. And then also through my work on as a volunteer on Menlo Park's Environmental Quality Commission, I'm seeing the interaction between cities trying to make climate action plans that are effective and can decarbonize buildings as is needed. Given the long lives of gas equipment, we can save so much emissions by making sure people don't keep replacing gas equipment with gas equipment, but that when things burn out, they replace them with electric. So this is very useful, and I've also seen from the analysis I did on another project that there's lots of net revenue available to the CCEs, like PCE, when you electrify. And so the councils of these cities look like the councils are willing to really help by mandating the conversion to electrification if it's cost effective. And PCE is in a position with the net revenue from electrification to help make it cost effective. So things are coming together. You're doing well on that. And then also there's another cooperative opportunity of participating with SBCE's online contractor training program that they're putting together to offer while folks have less work right now. And in that part of that program, they hope to give the contractors who participate a free 120 volt plug in the wall heat pump water heater, so they can get experience with that at their own homes. And so that's the kind of thing that PCE staff might want to look at next. Anyway, lots of exciting things that you're doing here, and I really support this work on building electrification.
Great, thank you, Tom. All right, we'll continue with public comments, and then we'll bring it back to board members for discussion. Brett Anderson, go ahead.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I think this is a great start. There's three basic elements here and building blocks that need to be put in place: rebates and full solutions for low income, and then some innovation on getting the cost down of these systems. I would just say that more is merrier in this case, because we're up against a timeline here of 2030 where we need about 40 to 80% of these systems replaced. If you look at what's going to be retired over the next 4 years, based on 200,000 homes, you're talking about 62,000 water heaters being replaced in the territory. That's if you conservatively estimate $1,000 for a gas replacement, that's $62 million of private investment. And, with 1,200 water heaters in your rebate program, you're really just scratching the surface. So I think to access and accelerate that, you have to address more of the barriers that are behind this. And I think some of that comes down to financing the upfront cost of these things for the low income with accessible financing. That's been identified as a key to getting this market off the ground by the Building Decarbonization Coalition. And I know that Raphael's already thinking about those things, and we just hope that more resources can be put toward this earlier upfront so that we're ready to accelerate this, because all of those gas water heaters installed over the next few years that aren't electric are locked in for 13 years. So we've got to capture that, channel that private investment and leverage it through financing.
Great point, Brett. Thank you. Anne, did you have comments to read for this one?
Yes, we actually have several. We have Robert Whitehair from San Mateo, Diane Bailey from Menlo Spark, Julie Ellington from Carbon Free Silicon Valley, Leanne Eberhardt of San Mateo, Terry Nagel, Chair Sustainable San Mateo County, and Carol Cross from Fossil Free Mid-Peninsula. All of these individuals strongly support item 10. And so a few quotes from Robert Whitehair. He had talked about addressing fossil gas use in existing buildings, serious health and safety risks of burning gas in our homes. Diane Bailey specifically liked all three of the elements in this proposal and applauds the hard work of staff and the swift action to bring forward these critically needed programs. And she also had links to a UCLA report and the community impact report, and an additional document with comments from the Campaign for Fossil-Free Buildings in Silicon Valley. So that is all on the website, and it was emailed out tonight. In addition, Carol Cross, she said that robust action is needed now. Implement these 3 programs, the low-income turnkey, heat pump water heater program, the BayREN Home Plus program, beginning a new technology pilot. She's in support of all of that. Let's see, Julie Allingham, the board member from CFSV, supports building electrification programs. It's an urgent climate action. Existing homeowners and building owners need help from their CCEs. And she supports the recommendations provided by the Campaign for Fossil-Free Buildings in Silicon Valley. Leanne Everhart of San Mateo supports the proposal for the $6 million over 4 years electrification program. It's innovative. She thinks, as a resident of San Mateo, this is the most important thing we can do for our community with the climate crisis. And then Terry Nagel, Chair, Sustainable San Mateo County, said that he replaced his broken gas water heater with a heat pump water heater. It was a huge hassle. After 3 days without a shower, we were tempted to take the cheaper, faster route of replacing it with another gas water heater. I could not find a single plumber in our county who belonged to the BayREN program offering a $1,000 rebate. And then he describes several plumbers, issues, and things. He's convinced that the only way to motivate local residents to get natural gas out of their homes is to offer substantial rebates and make the process easier. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Daniel, go ahead and with your comment.
Oh, great, thank you. Both a comment and a question. First, thanks for doing this. Existing buildings is clearly key, and so we need to do this and more, in my view, and so this is a great start. So I'm definitely supportive. My question is, we went through the slides quickly, understandably, given the hour. You've identified Harvest Thermal as one provider that supplies both electric, water, and air. Have you also identified a number of heat pump providers, or no?
Heat pumps are, and including heat pump water heaters, are fairly established technology. And they're more widely used in other states. California is a natural gas heavy state. So, you know, major providers like Ream and these providers have heat pump water heaters. So we're not seeing an immediate need for significant, what I would call, you know, startup level innovation. Certainly we want to see more scaling from the big providers to lower costs and advance some of the technology.
Gotcha. And is there, as someone who's looking to do this, it would be great if there was information on our website, if it's not there already. If it is, let me know.
It's not yet.
That homeowners could look at to get referrals, you know, to either, you know, technology providers or contractors, et cetera.
Yes, and so that is all coming, and we do have a marketing program that's gearing up around this that was already previously approved by the board.
Great, thank you.
Okay, Carlos, go ahead.
Yeah, Rafael, thanks for the report. So I just wanted to confirm the $6.1 million, or I think it's 6.1. This is money that we previously had put in the budget, that you had requested, and now you're coming to us with this implementation program. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. So I'm actually quite happy that we're partnering or working with BayREN, though there was a comment that was just made about the difficulty in actually finding BayREN contractors. I mean, I have at ABAG, sitting on their administrative committees and on their regional planning committees, have said that it is important, I think, to collaborate with the community choice aggregators to see if we can coordinate our program. So I'm glad to see that this is happening. I think we can get some economies by doing this, and I hope this works out. So it is unfortunate that there was a comment there that the contractors that work with the Bay Rim program aren't available. I hope that can get remedied. On the low-income piece, and by the way, it seems like it's going to take a lot of money to move the needle on any of this stuff. I mean, it's good that we're doing it, but clearly we could do 10 times more and not approach the need in all three areas. But on the low-income piece, I think I'm glad we're doing this program, but and you are focusing on the issue of electrical services, and I think that you're probably going to find out that you already know this, obviously, that the mains and the services in most of the homes that are occupied by low-income families are woefully underamped, right? They're probably, in some cases, 80 amp, 100 amp services, and what you probably need is a 200 amp service, if not more. So I'm glad we have money going into this, but I get the sense that there may not be enough money in this program per household just because of the cost to upgrade some of those service entries. But I mean, let's obviously see how it goes. And then lastly, on the harvest thermal technology, just a question. So is this technology basically hydronic heating plus water heating for the house combined through a heat pump system? Is that essentially what it is?
Yes, in fact, most of the components.
Hydronic heating?
I'm sorry. You're correct.
Sorry, that is correct?
Yes, so most of the components are off-the-shelf components, but there's a central controller, which is the core innovation that traffic cops, if you will, the storage and the hydronic system and the heat pump.
Right. Yeah, it's a really pricey system, but I guess it's really pricey because it's a pilot program, and to the extent that this, and I think some folks have already said this, or maybe Daniel said it, I don't know, but I mean, to the extent that this can blaze the trail to actually bring the cost of these systems down, because you can work all the bugs out, I think that would be really helpful. I mean, I like the idea. It's just incredibly expensive. But hopefully at the end of a few years, we'll get a sense of how it works and how it can actually get, how the installed cost can be taken down significantly.
Yeah, the one of the benefits that we are seeing in this technology is that installing harvest thermal, we estimate, or our partner estimates, are $14,000 to $20,000 for a typical single-family home. Whereas if you had to do the water heater and the space heating separately, it would cost you somewhere between $20,000 and $28,000. So there's a significant cost reduction in doing it in this consolidated unit. And because of the load shifting, you would also gather utility bill benefits.
Yeah, no, I mean, understood. But again, when people are comparing this to what it would cost to replace it with gas, now granted there are externalities and significant ones, the price difference is pretty significant. But I'm glad we're doing all three programs. I think we're going to learn something from all of them, in particular this third one. So thanks for bringing back a fairly diverse, or a very diverse set of programs.
Okay. Thank you, Carlos. Laura, go ahead.
Hi, I want to just congratulate staff and thank you for pulling together this particular program. What I like about this is that it addresses a need that is frequent in the marketplace with a technology that consumers are becoming more familiar with and aware of, alongside a market basket of options. So I think from a product market standpoint and a customer readiness perspective, this is akin to what you're doing with electrical vehicle program. And I really appreciate the spirit of this, and thank you for bringing it forward.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Rick Bonilla.
Thank you. So I've looked very closely at this, and I've spoken with Raphael about it. I really support this program. There's a huge need for it, and it's going to address a major greenhouse gas emitter. But more than that, it's taking on something it looks huge and it looks hard to do. It looks like it's going to be really expensive, but the thing is, it has to be done, and you have to start somewhere. And I think this is a really good start. So I'm in support of this. Thanks.
Great. You want to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
Great.
Second.
Who seconded? I didn't.
Laura, I seconded it, and then there was somebody else that we were tied, but I don't know who.
I'm giving it to you, Laura. Okay, moved by Bonilla, seconded by Palmer Lohan. Any further discussion? All right, one last roll call vote, folks.
Okay, if you would please announce yes or no, yay or nay when I announce your name. Dave Pine.
Yes.
Carol Groom. I don't, okay.
I see her there.
You see her there? Is she waving?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yay,
Thank you. Sorry, I had you on a different screen there, Carol.
Okay.
Rick DeGolia.
I think he dropped off.
You lost Rick, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Julia Mates.
Yes.
Madison Davis. Donna Colson.
Yes.
John Goodwin.
Yes.
Roderick Das Magbual.
Yes.
Carlos Romero.
Yes.
Catherine Monpour.
Yes.
Harvey Rarbach.
Yes.
Lawrence May.
Yes.
Catherine Carlton. Wayne Lee.
Yes.
Idra Martin.
Yes.
Jeff Alfs.
Yes.
Ian Bain or Giselle Hale. Marty Medina.
Yes.
Laura Palmer Lohan.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Rick Bonilla.
Yes.
Laura Nicholas.
Yes.
Daniel Yost.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. We have decided to continue item 11 owing to the late hour. We will bring it back in June. Are there any brief member reports? Wayne, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I just also want to thank Kristen and Shanna for helping out on the and organizing the CAC interviews. And also I want to congratulate all the 2020 graduates. Nobody's going to be it's going to drive around, and the kids are going to come out at 6 o'clock from their house, and we're all going to go and wave and encourage their accomplishments. Good night, everybody. Good seeing you.
Thanks, Wayne. Yes. Any other announcements, reports? Okay. Thank you all. Thanks for hanging in there, and we will be in touch soon. Take care.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.